Hey out there. This is Friday, the third day of March 2017, and it's just about exactly 10:15 in the morning here in Northern California. And as usual, I'm going to get into a lot of topics, but I'm definitely determined to keep it a lot more brief this week. So I'm going to have to spit it out. And Trump's speech was phenomenal. And I can't remember the last time I listened to, honest. I mean, I may never have listened to an entire presidential speech in my entire life. I was too young as a child when JFK was president. And, I would have, for sure, now I would have listened to him. But I don't remember ever listening to a president. I just didn't care enough. When Jimmy Carter was president, I liked the man very much. I think he's very genuine. And people can say what they want about him, about the mishap in Iran with the 50 hostages and all that. Yeah, I remember it. But I think that was blown out of proportion. There was a half-assed, rescue attempt that failed because, they didn't take into account all the sand in the desert when they were flying real low to avoid radar. But, so it's not Carter's fault that the rescue attempt failed. But there would have been bloodshed, and it would have jeopardized the hostages, too. I mean, Carter's not a stupid man. Not at all. I think he was probably the smartest president we've had since, now that we got Trump. I think Trump is smarter. I think he's, Ronald Reagan, nice guy, genuine, sincere, and I can understand why people like him and trust him. He comes across very well. In fact, they called him the great communicator. But, he wasn't my cup of tea. It's, I was just watching Max Kaiser, and he's got this guy on that talked about when the problems started happening in America. Of course, there was a coup when JFK was murdered. Okay, this was, in my mind, and all the people have deeply researched, said the greatest people, the people that had the greatest motivation for doing this were the money printers, okay, which was the Federal Reserve. And whoever they had working for them, people say it was people in the CIA, whatever, whoever their assassins were. All it takes is a little tiny cadre of people. It's not like the whole government. When somebody says an inside job, it doesn't take the whole government to create these coups and these huge, monumental biblical proportion events like 9/11 and invading ancient Babylon, Iraq, and all this stuff. I mean, this is gnarly stuff, but remember, it just takes a small, devoted group of Satanists, witting and not, people, I'm planting this building. They don't even know they're planting the buildings like on 9/11 for implosion. They think it's on the up and up, this implosion. But no, and later they just get murdered so that there's no chance they're ever going to talk and spill the beans about their involvement in 9/11, which was completely ignorant of the reality, okay? Do you understand what I'm getting across here? So this is how it works. It doesn't take a lot of people. If you got enough time to plant the buildings over a course of many years, let's say, because you've got to do it in a clandestine manner when only a very few handful of people know this small cadre of evildoers. And then they get ignorant minions working for them often, and they're not even evil. They think they're doing good. Well, this building's filled with asbestos, so this is why we're planting it, okay? And this is why we can't have you talking about it. Okay, it's insurance reasons, national security reasons. They come up with these reasons and people shut their mouths. They shut their traps. They say you got to sign this, contract here that says, that you promise not to talk about it. And if you do, all these implications and ramifications. And, so the guy is, no problem. It's my job. I'm desperate to survive. I need my job. I need a paycheck. I need money. And this is what motivates everybody to do things that they might otherwise question. And our entire society is enmeshed in these things. But I know I digress talking about the presidents. But now Ronald Reagan and this guest that Max Kaiser had on just Thursday, I guess it was, yesterday, talking about the 70s, late 70s and the 80s. And this is what happened. I mean, our economy, people could say it was stagflation during Carter, but, there's a euphemism for stagflation. It's called stability. And, I would much rather have stability than inflation, okay? This is bad, okay? Inflation, when your cost of living goes up, the worth of your currency goes down. That's bad. That always creates wealth and income disparities. It just throws chaos into the mix, and this is how these evil people are able to enslave the public, because this is anti-progress. This is what they want. They want regression. They don't want us slipping out of their grasp. They want us to stay in the stranglehold, needing them more and more and more. They want you to think that it's all about getting your numbers up. They don't ever want you to think about, well, maybe it's about getting my cost of living down, because mathematically speaking, it's the same thing. So yes, that's exactly it. You want progress to be in the form of a declining cost of living. That includes taxes. It's all part and parcel of the same thing. I mean, if the effect is identical, high taxes, high cost of living, then who cares? It's something you have to pay. Okay, that's why they latched on to housing. Okay, to this day is being picked on. I mean, we talk about Section 8. I know, at $50 billion a year, and how they could fix this problem permanently and the tax entirely, that everybody's paying this $50 billion. All you taxpayers out there, you middle class, upper middle class, lower middle class, rich, you're all paying this huge Section 8. That's a lot of money in anybody's book, okay? $50 billion every year going into this, and it's going into the pockets of very few people like Rich Dad. And it's causing the industry to be artificially inflated in cost, the price of these properties. And then the government's involved, the media's involved, telling everybody how good it is when housing prices are going up, because it helps the tax base, and this is a good sign for the economy. It's absurd. Could you imagine them reporting on anything else going up as it being a good thing? Who does it help? When less than half the people in California are homeowners, and that's sweeping across the country. This thing's got legs, it's got momentum, it's got inertia. So even if Trump decided to, the greatest thing he could probably do is just eliminate Section 8 altogether. This would be a dramatic yanking of the bandage, okay, just one of the bandages, that we would hemorrhage more, but then attention would be focused and we would bind the hemorrhage, because landlords would start losing their butts. Housing prices would plummet overnight across the board. Apartment rents, mortgages, everything. All the banksters would have to renegotiate their loans. They get reappraised, okay, and reset the loans. That's what should have happened in 2008. Would have been a market reset. That's what capitalism does. There's always risk. If there's no risk, it's really not true capitalism. It's all about competition. It's all about, just progressing. That's it. It's getting better across the board for everybody, and it's not forced. It's now happening naturally, without interference from the government. That's the worst possible thing, but that's all we've been getting is interference from the government. They legitimize these crony capitalist policies. So anybody out there that's a good capitalist, you've got to get through the heads of the communists, because I'm telling you, they're taking the high road right now. I mean, I'm not saying it's true or valid or anything that the communists would have that, ability to, that right, that reason, that prerogative to take the high road in this, morally speaking, economic morals and ethics and stuff I'm talking about. But that is at least the perception. I'm not saying it's reality, because we all know when you look into communism and you look into socialism, this Robin Hood theory of taking from the haves and giving to the have-nots, it's the People's Party. That's a perception. Blue collar, working class, the peasants, so we all know that's where this socialism and communism is rooted. So who can say that's a bad theory? It's equality and egalitarianism is associated with these things. And I don't believe it's true. It never worked. Okay, that's it. In theory, I'd say, yeah, Marxism and all this stuff, in theory, but in practical application, no. Okay, because the power of money has over people. You can buy people. You can buy people to murder other people, and it doesn't get more acute, more extreme than that. That alone, I mean, everybody's ears go, he's right. I mean, that's traumatic when you realize that's the world you're living in. It's under a satanic spell. And there's this term going around where people are based. And Max Kaiser had a guest on, it was from Tuesday, that was talking about this idea of just transcending this whole thing. And that's where I'm at. I mean, I say, look, let's get to the meat of the matter here. Okay, you take a guy like Alex Jones, and he's reticent to talk about money and the association with Satan. But I get right to the point. I mean, nobody should feel like they're a hypocrite because they need bread. God knows you need bread. That's money I'm talking about. We need it. God knows we need it. Let's not make it a secret. Let's just face that reality, and that we want to get off it. We don't want to be so dependent. We don't want to need it so much that we're practically worshiping it. Our affections, our attention, our concerns are revolving around the money. So our fear and our reverence, all this kind of stuff is the money. This is practical. This is pragmatic. This is, if you have great learning, this is the conclusion you draw. This is what you deduce. That it should be all about money. Yes, of course it is, dimwit. Get with the program. I mean, this is about everybody. Go out and get yours, But it doesn't work that way. Those go-getters, those people that are so, what's the term I'm looking for? When you aspire to, a lot of prosperity and great success, you're very, the term eludes me, but you get the idea that people, this is it. This is what is common sense. It's defined this way. This is the worldly way. This is the right way. But people forget this is the satanic way. That there is a correlation between the power that Satan has in this world. Okay, those people that are willing to murder the good people if necessary to keep their position in power. Okay, that's real. We have to admit that. That's a truth. Okay, and that's a fundamental truth that people got to get through their heads, and that's how it's being ruled. And Jesus said, this is going to be it. This is the prince of this world, is this money master, and it's a competing master, and the only way it has power is through the money. This concept, this monster, this animal, this beast that it is. And it is in diametric opposition to the will of God. Okay, this is not what God wants for us. He wants us to be free, and if you're going to be truly free, we have to admit we got to work that direction. And what does that mean? What am I saying here? We've got to be truly practical and pragmatic and logical, and use things like mathematics and science to come into agreement. And we're doing that, I think. I think with Trump, I think his speech, even CBS, I think it was a CBS poll, admitted he got 82%. That's unheard of. Unheard of. I mean, that's amazing. 82% approval from the American people from those polls. So, this could be really happening. The Spirit of God may be really helping. And maybe we really have been adopted by a kind master, and we're going to have peace is coming soon. It's a precursor, a harbinger to what is to come. That he's heralding at a time when the Lord, he's preparing, making the paths for the Lord straight in this world. And that the evildoers, of course, they're kicking and screaming, and it's scary. And I'm here as a peacemaker saying, look, all you evildoers, you know what? I mean, if you would just jump ship, repent, like Jesus said, or you're going to perish. That's it, man. Come out of the darkness and into the light. All you that are deliberately evil. I can't speak to the deceived and the delusional minions out there, okay? Because you're going to have to come to your own conclusions here, but it's coming down. And you've got to understand, if you're with an evil person, you better figure it out. And you better jump ship. That means repenting. And we've got to, say, look, my job's at stake here. I understand that. Many, many, many jobs are at stake. Okay, the heart of the beast is what Trump is going after. He's talking equality. Did you hear how that fell on flat ears? No, there was no applause that I remember when he said that word. He's an egalitarian. Why has that become profane? Why has that become a pejorative? That's what we've been trained and cultured in. That's it. That's our new paradigm, our new reality, unreality that's been foisted upon us, shoved down our throats. That's it. We have no choice. That's our reality. It's all money-based. Everything's about money, 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 money. And people think they're threatened. They feel threatened by any talk of equality because they want to believe that it's okay that they have more. And look, I mean, a lot of stuff's forgivable. God is slow to anger and quick to forgive, so we're all forgivable. He understands we like our nice stuff. And if I was talking to Alex Jones, God knows you like your car and your watches and your suits and your nice stuff, your beautiful studio and everything. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? I mean, there shouldn't be. Not in my mind. I don't believe it in God's mind or anybody. Anybody should be able to have whatever they want, and it shouldn't be thought of as their they're being extravagant and showy and all this. It shouldn't be like that. We can have all the nice stuff in the world and actually enjoy